guys, and welcome to another episode of Bless. I'm joined here today with Jess and Jemima. We've got an amazing episode for you guys. So just to give you a heads up, Bless is a society on Sussex and Brighton campuses, and we used to hang out in person, eat, play games and talk about really important subjects. But since the pandemic and since lockdown, we've decided to make a TV show and come to you in the comfort of your home. So we're bringing the hot topics to you. We're even bringing food to you. We're bringing all the goods, and we're just so excited that you've tuned in today. So Jess, what can we expect today from today's episode?
Guys, you're in for an absolute treat. We have got our friend Jemima with us today, and she is going to be talking about her experiences of med life, being in the hospital wards, good experiences, bad experiences, and raising our awareness to some incredibly important subjects such as racial discrimination and other things. So stay tuned for that. We've also got a section where we can give you a free meal. Exciting times. And also we're going to have Arnold come on and give us a juicy question from the Christian faith, and he's going to give a 5-minute answer to us. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good episode. And Jemima, I just want to get straight into it. Tell us more about yourself. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? What's med like? Why did you choose to study medicine?
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Jemima. I grew up in London, was born and bred here, and then I moved to Brighton to study medicine. I've studied 3 years of medicine now, and really I just got into it because I always just found medical and scientific stuff really interesting, and I'm very much like a people person, just like getting to knowing people, chatting with them, finding out about their stories, and medicine is a great way to kind of combine both. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Awesome. Well, we're really glad that you said yes to come and chat to us, and we just can't wait to dive in to the deep topics. But Jess, you want to tell us our activity today?
So last week, you may have been able to see, we decided why not include this game element of our Bless TV to help people on our NHS staff. We want to donate not only a free meal to you later on, but we also want to donate a meal to an NHS worker as well. So how we're going to do that is we are going to ask Jemima some quick fire questions, and every time that she gets an answer right, contributes to an NHS worker getting a prize. We're going to ask 3 questions. If you get 2 out of the 3 questions right, Jemima, you have won an NHS worker a free meal. So,
no pressure.
Argument.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. I'm excited.
The question is, the 2 holes in your nose are called what?
I'm gonna go with nostrils.
Yay! You said nose, but I heard ears, and I don't know how that happened. Yeah. So I'm really glad that this wasn't down to me. Jemima, though, I want to ask, like, you're a 4th year med student, right? What are your highlights over the years? Have you got any stories or experiences in the wards? Anything that you want to share with us that's been quite a highlight for you?
Yeah, of course. Honestly, I've had some amazing moments on the wards. I think my favorite moment has been when I was working with some hospital musicians, and we were in the Children's Hospital, the Royal Alex, and just looking at how can music be used as a therapy. So just getting to like make music with these kids and just see their faces light up, I think that was like my favorite moment so far.
And what were the benefits of actually using music as therapy?
Honestly, there's so many. I think so much of the time, especially in medicine, we think about what medications and like surgeries and interventions can be used to help people. But there are so many ways that people can be treated in a holistic way. And when you're looking at someone's well-being, something as small as like being entertained, or if someone's in chronic pain, then just being able to have a distraction from that pain, or if they're receiving like a vaccination or something, that's also a distraction, and it kind of has a positive association with their treatment instead of them having to fear what they're going through. So yeah, it's really great.
Very good. That's made me think that my Netflix subscription is going to good use. That's what I've concluded. But yeah.
Definitely.
So good. And Jim, with highlights, I'm sure comes lowlights and difficult circumstances as well. And I know we've personally chatted about some difficult times, specifically on racial discrimination. You kind of shared a little bit about that with me. Would you like to share some of that with our viewers at home and just kind of what has happened with that and raising our awareness of things like that as well?
In the hospital setting, it can be a very stressful environment, both for the patients and for the staff as well. I think I had a particular moment on the wards, which is kind of sad. And it was this doctor who was having a really stressful day, and she kind of made this comment about people like me and how we shouldn't necessarily be allowed into the medical education system or medical environment. And yeah, it was kind of very direct, but at the same time, a lot of people didn't really see why I took it as offensive or racist. But yeah, it definitely had some bad intent there. So yeah.
Not only racial discrimination literally in your practice from people verbally saying things or passively saying things, but it's also kind of embedded in the medical studies as well, like as a student, right? Because like you guys are learning how to diagnose people with different diseases, but you might not get the same diagnosis or the same process to diagnose people with a different skin color. So that's even the case. How have you found that as well?
That's such a good point. It's kind of important to think about, like, a lot of what we learn is unfortunately based on tradition. A lot of this has to do with a phenomenon called othering, which is basically when people from different ethnic backgrounds are made to feel like they're different. We can see it, for example, in the crime sector, how certain racial groups like Black or Asian people may be more represented in crime. But we can also see it as like underrepresentation in things like education and the workplace. So I think when you have a culture and a society that is saying that people who are from Black or Asian or other minority ethnic backgrounds are somehow different from the rest of society, then that feeds into the education system, and you may not learn much about how certain conditions look on different skin colors. And yeah, people end up being misdiagnosed, which is really a shame.
And I guess with that, Jim, like it's so hard to hear, isn't it? And I guess are there ways that you deal with that? Are you kind of personally going out and studying different diagnosis for people with different skin color right now? Do you have to do that yourself, or is there more like awareness grown in that to provide for that now?
Like you said, with the Black Lives Matter movement, the medical schools have actually been quite perceptive in some cases. I know my medical school has. I think on an individual basis, it's great to stay educated. So there are all sorts of resources and handbooks, like for example, the Mind the Gap handbook, which basically focuses on how different skin conditions look on darker skin, which I think is really useful. Whether you're a medical student or a doctor, or you just want to know more about how these things look, I think it's really beneficial.
All the resources that Jem's listed and more will be on our BLESS Instagram page, so go over there and find them there too. But Jem, if you don't mind, we're going to go to our next quickfire question if you're ready.
I'm ready.
The next question is, the muscles found in the front of your thighs are known as what?
I really should know this. I'm gonna go with hamstrings.
Close. Just a little bit more up. It begins with a Q.
Quadriceps.
Yay!
So close.
We'll take it because girl, you just won an NHS worker referee meal.
Well done, girl. You did good. So we know that you're a Christian, and I was just wondering, what effect has your faith had during stressful periods of time, studies and placement, that kind of thing? How has your faith had an impact and affected you?
So for me, the main thing that comes up is like identity. For a lot of people, like regardless of your background or what you go through, like there are things that you identify with, whether that is your race, your ethnicity, your gender, your education, like whatever that may be. Our identity also links to like our worth as well. So when something like kind of infringes on this identity, then we feel violated, and yeah, it can result in discrimination and all sorts of things. For me, I believe that as a Christian, my identity is found in Jesus, and all that means is the fact that yes, God made me a Black woman and I'm studying medicine and I live in London and like all these things that contribute to who I am. I know that ultimately my identity is found in Christ and the fact that I'm a child of God. And to me, that's very liberating and it's very freeing, because I know that ultimately my identity is in Him and He makes me who I am.
So good. So there's this stability, this unshakableness of whatever's happening around and about. You know who you are and you're sure of that. Love it so much. Thank you for sharing.
Before we conclude this interview, we have got one more question of our human body quiz round. Although you have already won the NHS worker their prize, for those watching who are really keen and love a good quiz question, then this one's for them. So, Jem, are you ready for one more question?
Yeah, hit me. Hopefully I get this one right.
Okay, your next question is, an adult human body has over 500 bones. True or false?
I'm going to go with false.
Correct! The human body has a total of 206 bones.
I was thinking 500 is a lot. And then the question said more than. And I'm like, that's a lot of bones.
Tricky.
Well, thank you, Jemima. We're going on to the next part of our episode, which is when we ask you the spotlight question. So if you don't know, well, you're in for a treat, because this is the moment in our episode where we ask you guys a question every single week. And the first person to answer in the chat, whether on YouTube or on Instagram, the first person to answer wins a free meal on us. And so, yeah, I'm just going to go for it, actually. So the question from this week is, what is the name of the instruction manual that makes up your cells? And we'll be in contact with whoever answers first. We've got eyes peeled on it. We got you guys. Don't worry, we'll be in contact. Swiftly moving on to our next part, which is Arnold's question time. He's going to be continuing on our series on suffering. It is a heavy subject and we don't want to just brush past it and give you such a generic answer. So we're going to be unpacking it every week. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what Arnold says. So over to you, Arnold.
Hello, everyone. And thank you so much for locking into Bless. Right, I've got 5 minutes to answer a new question for you. This week's question, we're still sticking onto the theme of suffering. And we looked firstly at how could a powerful God allow suffering? Secondly was how can an all-loving God allow suffering? Now we will look at how can a God allow evil? There are some crazy crimes that people do. Some get away with it and some don't. Regardless of whether they get away with it or don't, some of the people who actually do get caught for it, you still feel as though their punishment isn't enough because the evil that they've done is so huge. So let me try and answer this one for you. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to negate the fact that evil acts are evil and bring so much suffering to people. But let's just look at it from the outside and look into what evil is. All right, firstly, if we say that something is evil, then we're also saying that there is such a thing as good. There are things that are evil objectively. It's not a matter of opinion. There are some things, let's say, if I believe that if we were to wipe out a particular race, that is a good thing for society. Completely wipe them out through death. That is a good thing for the thriving of society. And some people would say, what are you talking about? That is completely evil. That is wrong. That isn't right. Well then, okay, first, there is something that's evil objectively. There's something that's good. That means there must be a moral law. Because who's right between me and you? How can we judge whether somebody is right or wrong between me and you? There must be some sort of moral law that is able to govern whether something is objectively evil or objectively good. And if you conclude that there is such a thing as a moral law, these acts are evil and these acts are good, then there needs to be somebody who has given that moral law. There must be a moral law giver in order for us to know that there is a moral law, in order for us to be able to distinguish between good and evil. From an atheistic mindset, if God was not to exist, there is no way in which we can genuinely, objectively say that something is good or something is evil. If I want to wipe out an entire race for the growth of society, and you don't, you want to thrive, all races together, who's right between us? How can we judge who is right between us? Because we value each other and we place value on each other, and we believe that we ourselves asking the questions are valuable, we are saying that there is something more that is giving us this value in order for us to be able to determine whether or not there is a moral law out there. So that's the first thing. If there is evil, there is good. If there is good and evil, then there is a moral law. If there is a moral law, then there must be a moral law giver. The problem of evil is better answered from a theistic worldview than from an atheistic worldview. The second thing to look at what degree does God need to wipe out evil? What is the standard of evil? Is it that the people who have gone to jail, God should not allow them? God should not allow these acts to be done by these types of people. What about the people that haven't gone to jail? Is it that degree? You've got to bring it even lower. What standard should God wipe out evil? Because people have been hurt by things that aren't technically crimes. What about lying? What about stealing? And I guess that is a crime, but not being caught for it. For myself personally, when I was younger, I just tried to win a girl over to me. I wanted a girl to really like me just for the sport of it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not proud of it at all, but just for the sport of it, I wanted a girl to like me. She did. We went out, and 3 days later, I broke up with her. That isn't evil. I have affected this person. And it might be an effect that's going to last years within this person. What degree is it? When you search deep, you actually realize I'm adding to the problem. Myself, personally, I am adding to this problem of evil. God would have to deal with me as well. If God was to wipe out evil, he would have to work on me. He'd have to wipe me out too. So when it comes to how can God allow evil in the world if he is loving? Well, it's purely because of the fact that he is loving. God is so caring that he is patient with people. He will enact a justice on everyone. That is going to happen. But he is patient with people, hoping that they would see that they need him in order to walk free from this evil. And God has done that and dealt with that through Jesus. Because of Jesus and what he's done for evil, in the sense of he is completely wiping it away from our existence because of his death and his resurrection, we know that God will deal with evil, and he can turn our hearts so that murderers, liars, thieves can turn from the things that they have done. Even for yourself, the things that you have done that you're not proud of, you can completely not look at that and walk toward Jesus, who committed no evil at all. Thank you so much, and I hope that I've been able to answer your question. Feel free to comment in any additional questions that you have. We'll try to answer it later on. Thank you so much, and guys, over to you.
Arnold, thank you so much for coming on again and answering such a big question for us. I know I enjoyed it. I'm sure these guys have as well, and we hope that you have at home. But like I say, I'm biased because he's my husband, but I do love him and he's very intelligent. So I hope you enjoyed. But if you have listened to Arnold's response and you are thinking, do you know what? I've got more questions to ask. I'm a bit more curious about this Christianity thing than I was before. Why not take that thought, bring it into 2021, and why don't you go on a journey of figuring out more about the Christian faith? We've got something for you. We run a course called Alpha at our church. Like we say, we are affiliated with Emmanuel Church. So if you want to find out more about the Christian faith, we meet every Thursday evening to find out more, explore these big questions. Who is Jesus? Did he really die? What's the evidence of the Bible? Come through and ask your questions. We'll be there. We'd love to have you. No questions barred. Come through. So if you want to sign up, Link is below here, and we'd love to have you.
As we mentioned at the start, BLESS is affiliated with a church in Brighton called Emmanuel. And I've got some great news. We're actually hanging out tonight at 6 p.m. So if you're tuning in right now and you're like, you know what, I'd like to get to know these guys some more, I want to see all our beautiful faces later, we really want to invite you to come and hang out with us. Jemima's going to be there. You've been there before. How was your experience like, girl?
Honestly, it was really great. I think it's also a great way to meet other students because you get put into breakout rooms, get to meet people who are doing all sorts of different courses from different backgrounds. Yeah.
We have new people coming in every week. We have introductions with all that kind of stuff. So don't worry if you've never gone before. Send us a DM and we'd love to get in touch with you. So guys, we love you and we can't wait to see you next week. Sending all our love. Have a great week. See you at Alpha or see you tonight. Lots of love, guys. Bye.
Bye.